shakes. Okay, Sylvia.
I like mineral water.
All right. Always healthy, Sylvia. Mineral water. Okay, let's look at our list of favorite drinks. We have red wine, fruit juice, beer, milk, banana milkshake, and mineral water. Of course, milkshakes can be in any flavor, all fruits. All right, thank you very much.
Preferences. So, to, either, neither.
Okay, now we have talked about our favorite foods and our favorite drinks. So we're going to talk about preferences. Now, the word preference comes from the verb prefer, and it means something that we like more than other things. Okay, we use prefer to talk about or ask questions about the things we like more than other things. And we talk about general things. We don't usually use this verb to talk about a choice between two things. Instead, we use would rather. But we will look at that a little bit later. First, let's look at preferences and the verb prefer. Okay, take a look at some examples. I prefer chicken to steak. This is how we use prefer in a question. Do you prefer fruit salad to ice cream? When we ask a question with prefer, we can also say it this way. Do you prefer fruit salad or ice cream? We can also ask questions this way. Which do you prefer, chicken or fish? Okay, normally when we use the verb prefer, we use it with a gerund. For example, take a look. I prefer drinking milk to drinking water. He prefers eating fish to eating steak. Okay, we don't always need to repeat the gerund though. Could be he prefers eating fish to steak. When we speak formally, we use a special form of the verb called the infinitive. Now this you know. To plus the simple verb form. Okay, look at these examples of verbs, gerunds, and infinitives. Eat, eating, to eat. Drink, drinking, to drink. Watch, watching, to watch. Go, going, to go. Have, having, to have. Do, doing, to do. Okay, when we want to talk formally about preferences for actions, we use the infinitive together with rather than. Okay, take a look at these examples. I prefer to eat at home rather than at the restaurant. She prefers to drink red wine rather than white wine. When we answer a question using prefer, we can say the sentence in two different ways. Take a look at these sentences. Do you prefer tea to coffee? I prefer tea to coffee. So we can't say, I prefer tea or coffee. Which do you prefer, drinking tea or coffee? I prefer drinking tea to coffee. I prefer to drink tea rather than coffee. I prefer tea. Okay, let's review what we have learned about sentences, questions, and answers using prefer. Please take a look at the following table on your screen. Nouns. Okay. Example. I prefer chicken to steak. Question. Do you prefer chicken to steak? Or, which do you prefer, chicken or steak? Example of an answer, I prefer chicken. Or, I prefer chicken to steak. All right, gerunds plus a noun. I prefer eating chicken to eating steak. Or, I prefer eating chicken to steak. Question, do you prefer eating chicken to steak? Answer, I prefer eating chicken to steak. Okay, gerund used with an action verb. I prefer eating to drinking. Question, do you prefer eating to drinking? Or, which do you prefer, eating or drinking? Answer, I prefer eating to drinking. Now let's look at the infinitives. I prefer to eat chicken rather than to eat steak, or rather than steak. Question, do you prefer to eat chicken rather than steak? Answer, I prefer to eat chicken rather than steak, or I prefer to eat chicken. Negative infinitive, I prefer not to eat meat. So as you can see, there are many different ways to talk about preferences, ask questions, and give answers. Let's practice using prefer in sentences and questions. Alberto, do you prefer coffee to tea?
I prefer tea to coffee.
Okay. Sylvia, do you prefer meat to vegetables?
I prefer not to eat meat.
Very good. Are you a vegetarian?
No, I prefer vegetables today.
Linda, which do you prefer, fish or chicken?
I prefer eating chicken.
Okay, Sylvia, can you please ask Alberto a question?
Okay. Alberto, do you prefer tomato soup or chicken soup?
I prefer tomato soup to chicken soup.
Okay, Alberto, can you ask Linda a question?
Yes, okay. Linda, which do you prefer, soup or prawn cocktail?
I prefer prawn cocktail.
Okay, Linda, can you ask Sylvia a question?
Okay. Sylvia, which do you prefer drinking, tea or coffee?
I prefer coffee to tea.
All right, very good, everyone. Now, let's all prefer to look and listen.
Look and listen.
I prefer chocolate ice cream to strawberry ice cream. Does he prefer tea or coffee? Do they prefer beer to wine? Do you prefer to eat at home or at a restaurant? We prefer eating at the restaurant to eating at home. She prefers not to eat fish.
Read and repeat.